if you average out the View hosts, among the dumbest people on television.
I think Sonny's dumb. Is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out.
The internet was set ablaze by a rumor that felt almost too perfect to be true. A staggering $100 million lawsuit aimed like a guided missile at one of daytime television's most notorious talk shows. The target was The View, a program known for its fiery and often vicious political commentary, and the person allegedly pulling the trigger was former First Lady Melania Trump, a woman defined by her public silence and private mystique. It was billed as the ultimate media showdown, a story of calculated revenge served ice cold against a panel of hosts who many felt had crossed the line one too many times. The story spread like wildfire because it tapped into a simmering public frustration, a desire to see the media finally held accountable. But the real story behind the viral headlines, behind the gleeful social media posts and furious commentary, is far more complex, shadowy, and revealing than anyone imagined. It's a story not just about a TV segment, but about perception, power, and a quiet war being waged just out of sight.
As you may heard, I filed a few lawsuits, and I'm in the court now because they accuse me of doing stuff that I never did in my life. And they wrote lies, and I will not allow that. I will fight till the end because I don't want that they damage my reputation and my name.
It all started on what seemed like a typical episode of The View, but the conversation quickly spiraled into a deeply personal takedown. The hosts weren't just discussing Melania Trump's politics, they were dissecting her character, her marriage, and her very essence, live on national television for millions to see. The atmosphere turned from commentary to a full-blown verbal assault. One host leaned in and boldly declared, "I think she hates him," a stunningly confident statement about the inner world of a woman they had never truly known. The panel nodded in agreement, with another host chiming in, insisting Melania does not want to be the first lady anymore, painting her as a reluctant, miserable figure trapped in a gilded cage. The attacks then grew more specific and cruel. They went after her work, accusing her of destroying the historic White House Rose Garden, a project she had personally overseen. They even dragged her famous Christmas decorations, with one panelist joking that her aesthetic made the presidential home look less like a festive wonderland and more like a scene from a horror movie. The segment painted a brutal, one-dimensional caricature, a woman who was cold, checked out, and completely disengaged from her role, her country, and even her own husband. It wasn't just criticism, it felt like a coordinated character assassination.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all agree on that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
Doesn't want to be the first lady. She destroyed the Rose Garden.
Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want anything to do with him. She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Allegedly.
And she does.
Yeah, how do you know all this?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know all this.
Allegedly. That's why I say allegedly.
Just when you thought the fire couldn't possibly get any hotter, Joe Rogan showed up with a full tank of gasoline. On his massively popular podcast, which reaches an audience that dwarfs daytime television, Rogan didn't just criticize the hosts, he absolutely torched them. He called out what he saw as their blatant hypocrisy, reminding the world that before Donald Trump was a political force, the very same panel greeted him with open arms, hugs, and warm smiles, affectionately calling him their friend right there on that stage. Rogan framed the show's dramatic shift as a scripted flip, arguing it was a calculated move driven by political agendas and ratings, not by any genuine moral compass. Then, with his signature unfiltered style, he delivered the knockout punch that echoed across the internet and became a viral moment in itself. If you average out the IQ of the hosts on The View, you might still struggle to hit triple digits. The comment was savage, reckless, and undeniably explosive. It instantly transformed a daytime TV spat into a full-blown culture war, mobilizing his legions of fans and adding a whole new layer of chaos to the already raging feud. And then the rumor mill, already churning, kicked into overdrive. Whispers of a lawsuit began to circulate on fringe blogs and social media forums. Within hours, those whispers morphed into screaming headlines, all claiming that Melania Trump was suing the show and its network for a jaw-dropping $100 million. It felt like the perfect cinematic retaliation. The story went nuclear, with fans and critics alike sharing the news, cheering for what they saw as Melania's righteous legal strike against a biased media. The narrative was just too good to check, but here is where the entire story takes a sharp, unexpected turn. Despite the viral claims, the endless commentary videos, and the celebratory social media posts, the lawsuit itself remained a ghost. There were no official court filings, no confirmations from Melania's famously tight-lipped legal team. The $100 million bombshell was a powerful, intoxicating fabrication, a rumor that had caught fire because it was exactly what a huge portion of the public wanted to believe. People were so tired of what they saw as relentless media attacks that they collectively willed a counterpunch into existence.
Because I do want to get back to this point with the left and Melania Trump. Why can't she just be her own woman and have separate?
And she can.
And so why all that criticism? I mean, that was gross from The View. And look, The View is not the litmus test of America. We don't think that.
They were afraid of that remark. That was their problem.
So why did they handle it that way?
But to understand why this powerful rumor felt so incredibly real, you have to look deeper into Melania Trump's carefully guarded past. This is not a woman who shies away from a legal fight. On the contrary, she has a documented history of taking on monolithic media giants and bringing them to their knees. Her most famous battle was in 2017, when she filed a massive lawsuit against the Daily Mail for publishing a deeply defamatory article that contained shocking and false claims linking her to an escort service in the 1990s. The media outlet, a global powerhouse, likely dismissed the threat, believing she wouldn't see it through. They were profoundly wrong. After a fierce and expensive legal battle, the Daily Mail was forced to retract the story, issue a rare and humiliating public apology, and pay Melania a settlement reportedly worth millions of dollars. This wasn't her only fight either. Throughout her time in the public eye, she has consistently used legal threats and cease and desist letters to shut down false stories and protect her name, proving that behind her quiet, often inscrutable demeanor lies a calculated and formidable opponent. She doesn't make loud, empty threats on social media. She just has her lawyers file the paperwork.
One of the things I wanted to talk to you about, I wanted to play this, but we decided we shouldn't play it. We don't want anybody to have any sort of a way to get it down. The episode of you when you're on The View, when you were running for president.
Right.
Donald Trump is a billionaire, a real estate mogul, and a television star. But does he really want to add President of the United States to his resume? A lot of people would like him to.
You got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
Please, let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug. They all loved you.
We're so happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
We love it. They're talking about you in such a favorable light. The audience was cheering, and then you actually started winning in the polls, and then the machine started working towards you.
Joe Biden knows how to do this. Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
But allegedly he was cheating while Melania was pregnant.
That was all. That's not going to come in front of the jury, though. The judge has ruled that won't come up.
We're on television now. And then after Melania gave birth to the baby, he found Stormy to strip around with, right?
Yes.
It's like people should look at him and say, you know, what kind of an insecure jerk are you? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, my wife's pregnant. I'm not attracted to her big belly or something. And now she's paying attention to the baby and not me.
Now, you know who has been bragging all over the campaign trail about how he's the one that overturned Roe v. Wade. But apparently, his wife has different thoughts on the reproductive rights after posting this video plugging her memoir. Take a look.
Individual freedom is a fundamental principle that I safeguard. Without a doubt, there is no room for compromise when it comes to this essential right that all women possess from birth: individual freedom. What does my body, my choice really mean?
This entire saga rips the lid off a huge, complicated question that sits right at the heart of American media. Where exactly is the line between protected free speech and illegal defamation? For a public figure like Melania Trump, that line is incredibly blurry and difficult to define in a courtroom. To win a defamation case, she wouldn't just have to prove the statements made on The View were false. She would have to prove actual malice. This is a legal standard that means the hosts knew their statements were false when they said them, or that they showed a reckless and willful disregard for the truth. That is an extremely high bar to clear, almost like having to prove what someone was thinking. It's a shield that protects commentators and talk show hosts, allowing them to frame personal attacks as mere hot takes or opinions, which are generally protected speech. This legal reality is why shows like The View can get away with so much, turning wild speculation into daily entertainment without facing serious legal consequences. But this incident and the public's reaction to it pushed that protection to its absolute limit. For The View, chaos is not a bug, it's a feature. The show's entire business model is built on generating fiery debates, controversial sound bites, and viral moments that keep it relevant in a fractured media landscape. Outrage drives ratings, but a story this explosive, even one based on a rumor, begins to test the limits of that model. The backlash wasn't just from predictable political opponents, it came from a wider audience of people who were simply uncomfortable with the intensely personal and seemingly cruel nature of the attacks. It reinforced the show's growing reputation as a hit piece factory, a place where political agendas and personal animosities consistently override basic journalistic or even human decency. While a real lawsuit never materialized, the reputational damage was very real. It raised uncomfortable questions for the network and its advertisers about whether the show's signature brand of drama had finally become more of a liability than an asset in an era where audiences are increasingly skeptical of mainstream media. And what about Melania Trump herself? Throughout the entire firestorm, the on-air insults, the Rogan takedown, and the fake lawsuit rumor, she remained completely and utterly silent. This, of course, is her signature move. She operates in the shadows, making her public moves with the precision of a surgeon. While her husband wages war with an endless barrage of tweets and rally speeches, she communicates through the cold, formal language of her lawyers, or with carefully chosen, symbolic public appearances. This calculated silence makes her an enigma, a blank screen onto which people project their own assumptions, and in many ways it makes her more powerful. Her unpredictability is her weapon. The lawsuit rumor, though fake, served her purpose perfectly without her ever having to lift a finger or say a single word. It sent a clear and potent warning shot across the bow of the entire media industry, reminding everyone that she is not a passive target and that she has both the resources and the steely will to fight back. In the end, the $100 million lawsuit may have been a ghost, a phantom born from internet outrage, but the cultural battle it ignited was all too real. It was a perfect storm, a reflection of a deep and growing divide in how the media covers public figures and how the public consumes that coverage. It proved that millions of people are hungry for some form of accountability and are deeply tired of what they perceive as one-sided attacks disguised as news or entertainment. The lawsuit may not have been real, but the battle for Melania Trump's legacy certainly is, and it's a battle she's quietly been waging for years, one calculated and silent move at a time. The check from The View may never be written, but a powerful message was delivered loud and clear to anyone who was paying attention. Cross her at your own peril.